Hello everyone. So I'm another Tom from another data company. We're actually a data monetization company. So we're doing something a little bit different to some of the other data companies you may have seen today. So we're actually headquartered in Canada. We also have an office right here in London. And our sort of catchline is turn bits into coins, so turn anonymous data into money, but in a way that's not really been done by any other companies here at the moment. Just to give me a sense, is anybody here currently doing data monetization in the audience? Not a single hand going up. Okay, this should be good. So to talk about data monetization, I'd start by talking about some of the limitations of other current monetization models. So as we know, there are two main ways to make money: adverts and paid apps and paid features. And as we know, companies are facing this issue of trying to grow their revenues by even single-digit percentages, are spending time trying to optimize these two areas. But of course, with adverts, you're limited by the screen real estate, so you can't really go beyond the size of the screen in terms of the number of ads you can display. And there starts to become a sort of a ceiling on the CPC or CPM that you can get. There's some limits in place. It's difficult to go beyond. And of course, with paid apps, the conversion rates are pretty low. And it requires lots of effort and skill to make games that can convert users from free to paid effectively. So we're really into anonymous data monetization. This is different to the previous presentation from Tom, so it's actually complementary, or can be implemented in a complementary fashion. So when we say anonymous data monetization, we really mean completely anonymous data which is collected in the background of the app. No data which can identify a user or a device. No data which can be taken and then combined with other data to identify a user or a device. Not even IDFA, no IP address, no MAC address, nothing like that. It's all collected in the background without affecting the user's experience. So it won't display anything or frustrate the user. So the question, of course, is, well, what is this data and why is it valuable? If it's anonymous data, it can't be attributed to a user. You can't connect it in any way. You can't use it to target users. What is it and why is it valuable? This usually takes a little bit of explaining, so bear with me on this. The three biggest fears of our generation. So running out of mobile signal or Wi-Fi or cellular signal, running out and not being able to get onto the internet. Number two, having slow loading times. And number three, running out of battery. Now, there's not much we can do about number three, but actually our product deals with number one and number two, and we actually make money by helping to solve these two problems. So I want to talk to you about the mobile telecommunications and mobile signaling and testing industry. Now, for most people in this audience, this is probably something that you're not too familiar with in too much detail. This is a $6 billion industry growing to $25 billion in the next 5 years. Telecoms companies, so in the UK, Vodafone, O2, T-Mobile, etc., drive around in cars like this. There's the car on the left-hand side. That's the back seat of the car. It's covered in mobile phones. There's about 25 mobile phones there in the back seat of the car. And these guys are driving around London every day, all parts of the country, to see how good is the mobile signal in different parts of the world. And back to my previous slide, the big fears of people running out of data signal, having poor network performance. So telecoms companies are spending loads of money driving around trying to figure out whether the network is good and bad so that they can improve it and make it better for their users. So we just thought, why don't we crowdsource it? It turns out there's not anyone else in this business at the moment doing it using our distribution model. So we actually have a small SDK which does exactly the same thing that you've just seen on the previous screen, but we do it through partnerships with games companies and other app partners. We've got more than 150 different app titles who have integrated us right now. We're running on roughly 30 to 50 million devices currently. We anonymously collect data from all these devices so that we can see where the mobile signal is good and bad. To give you a sense of when I talked about anonymous data, these are the types of data that we collect. So signal strength, download speed, upload speed, the cell tower that you're connected to, the location of the device while this test is being performed, latency, jitter, packet loss, these types of things. These are data points which are not really of any relevance to the mobile industry or to the mobile games industry, not typically collected, but extremely useful and extremely valuable that we can actually monetize this opportunity. So we take these data points and we create reports, graphs, and other data products. This is a picture of the UK. It's been blown up so you can see it in a slightly lower resolution, but this shows us, this is from our data that we've collected, showing where in the world is the mobile coverage good and bad, or good, medium, bad, in terms of download speed, upload speed, etc. Where are users having a good experience and a bad experience? And then we sell it to these organizations here from upwards of $10,000 per month as a subscription process. We did some research. Now, it's important to us, being a data company, collecting data from users' devices. We were concerned, we wanted to make sure that users wouldn't be concerned that we're collecting statistics in the background. So we did some surveys. We did the US and the UK market, 1,000 users. And just to give you a sense of the responses we got, to get an app that I want, I would rather, and these are the choices, take a free app that collects anonymous usage statistics, have a free app but with adverts, pay to download it, or pay for features and upgrades. We found that 41% of respondents, more than any other category, would prefer to have an app that collects anonymous statistics than any other current monetization model. In a similar vein, we asked the same question to the same 1,000 users in those markets about when would you not use an app because it has too many adverts. Maybe you have to pay to download it. If it collects personal data, name, email address, etc. And again, we found that by a significant margin, collection of anonymous usage statistics was actually the lowest friction point for users who were considering downloading an app or game. So we know now that it's low friction, and users are pretty happy with this as a way of monetizing, or for apps to collect in the background. It's important to understand the differences, though. Data monetization, or anonymous data monetization in this case, has got some pretty big upsides and some differences to other monetization models. Really, on the plus side, there's absolutely no user impact. In our case, in Tutela's case, we've done a lot of work on our SDK and our software libraries to make sure that the file size is extremely small, so it's less than 200 kilobytes. The impact to the device is negligible, so less than 1% drain on battery and CPU. So no user impact whatsoever. Another great benefit of data in our case is you can sell the data multiple times. So it's not like adverts on a screen. You can't put a limited number of adverts on a screen. The screen's just not big enough. But with data, we can sell it to effectively a limitless number of companies. And just due to our revenue share model, together we'll both be growing revenues on a continuous basis. So it keeps growing. And of course, it's great because it's incremental to all of the revenues as well. Even other types of data that you might be collecting and monetizing, like Tom's previous presentation, you might be collecting data which might be more related to the users. This is in addition to those things. It's also in addition to advertising and any paid features that you may have in your apps. Some things to take note of. Data monetization involves collecting data, productizing it, and then selling it. And this can take several months, or several weeks to several months. So it's not quite as instant as other sources, such as advertising. It can take a little bit longer before you go from integration to results and to revenues. And the second point is the data is variable. So typically we'll take data and we'll spend some time productizing it and then selling it to some organizations. And that can take several months, and then several months later we'll sell the same data again, and again, and again, and again. So that means that the data will grow over time as we monetize it to more and more organizations. So just to tell you a bit about Tutela, we're a VC-backed company based in Canada and London. We're a data tech company. We're all actually from the telecommunications industry, so the games industry is still fairly new to us. We've been in the telecoms industry for some time, myself over 10 years. Our SDK is currently running on more than 150 apps, running on over 30 million devices at the moment. And we're actually looking for more partners. We're here today sponsoring with a booth upstairs, looking for more partners who can join us in this opportunity. The opportunity can be into the millions of dollars. It really depends on the number of daily active users that you have. More is more. And what we're looking for is partners who have location permissions, because we need to know the location where the network quality is good and bad. We're looking for ideally partners that have got more than 500,000 daily active users. That's not a hard limit, but that's something that makes our data volumes more interesting and more useful to us. And we're looking for people to move pretty quickly. And we work on the basis of a revenue share model. And in cases where we have large partners, we of course offer minimum guarantees as well. So that's it. That was my presentation. Thank you very much. We're at stand 106, and please come and talk to us. I'll take some questions if there's time.
Any questions?
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Do you collect data on the type of devices in a geo? Being used, like how many of any particular device?
Yes, we do. Yeah. So just to answer that question in more detail, well, the question was, do we collect data on the types of devices in a geo? So we collect things like, is it an iPhone? What version of iPhone is it? What's the screen size and what's the OS version? These types of things. And the reason why we collect that information is the telecoms companies want to know, is iPhone performing better or worse than different types of devices for that purpose?
So
Go ahead.
I'm asking is we're in soft launch right now, and with a similar sample size in the UK versus Canada,
Yep.
we're seeing more complaints in the UK on older devices not being able to load.
Okay.
They're also our biggest spenders. So we're just wondering if the UK just typically has
Okay.
a bunch of older devices floating around.
Oh, okay. I can get back to you on that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess typically the UK would have, being a more developed market than other markets, you'd expect it to be kind of ahead of the curve in terms of things like that. But yeah, sure. See if we can help you.
So why should game developers integrate tech?
Why should we integrate our tech? Well, we pay you. So it's as simple as that. So we've actually raised a lot of VC money in the last few months just so we can pay more money so we can get more game developers on board. So we want to do that and make it a good model for both sides. We pay it both in terms of a monthly minimum guarantee, but then also revenue share on top of that as well. But good question, thank you.
So what would be the rough number for average revenue per user from beyond?
Good question, and we get this question quite a lot. And unfortunately, it's a difficult question to answer because data monetization is quite different from, advertising or just paid upgrades and things like that. So when it comes to data monetization, just to give you an example, data from a single device virtually has no value, or it actually has no value. Data from 100 devices has got zero value. We actually take aggregate amounts of data and turn them into products. And there's certain thresholds that we need to meet before we can make different types of products. So, for example, in the UK, we require roughly 50 to 100,000 daily active users to make our first tier of product. But if it's 105 or 100 or 95, it doesn't make that much difference to it. It's an approximate threshold. The best way to get a sense of how much is it worth to a developer. Well, first one is we've actually got some tools on our website that let you do that. So tutela.com/partners. Put in your DAUs and it'll give you a sense of what you can earn. But just to give you an example, with roughly 1 million users in the US, you'd expect to make between $300,000 and $500,000 per year. That doesn't necessarily apply to all countries. Different countries have got different weightings and different values, but it's 1 million in the US is worth roughly $300,000 to $500,000. Does that help you? Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yep. You said you have a small TK. How big is it?
I'll tell you the exact sizes. I'll get back to you on that. It's less than 1 megabyte. The Android SDK is 200 kilobytes, and the iOS SDK, I believe, is 600 kilobytes. So pretty small. Is that a good answer or a bad answer? Okay, thanks.
There's obviously a lot based on location in this.
Yeah.
You need to actually switch on GPS. That's probably a barrier for them.
Yeah, it can be. So we only require course location. Fine location is better, so depending on how you implement that. I'm not actually sure on iOS whether that creates a prompt or not when you ask for course location. You probably know the answer to that better than I will. It depends on the app. Yes, you're right. In some cases, it will cause a prompt, but depending on whether you implement course or fine. We actually did some. In the testing that we've done, we're in 150 apps now. roughly 30 million devices. We've never had a complaint where someone's come back and said, oh, we've lost all of our users, or they've had no noticeable impact to the users.